Hello, I'm FYXToyCat, and did you know that diamond ore in Minecraft generates significantly more often than pumpkins do in the same natural Minecraft world? This is a fact that sounds so counterintuitive on the surface that even after I directly tell you it's true, a lot of you still aren't going to believe it and are still going to demand some form of proof, and that's why I wanted to make today's video to prove that pumpkins are in fact rarer than diamonds, as well as talk about a few other counterintuitive Minecraft facts and the psychological biases that lead to you thinking them. Because if you can correct your psychological biases, if you can learn about them and know why they're affecting you, you can obviously avoid making these sorts of mistakes in the future, whether it be in Minecraft or more realistically in the real world. And that's why I wanted to go through and explain these in this video, which I hope you will enjoy, like if you do. But let's dive straight into it, because how can pumpkins possibly be rarer than diamonds? I mean, I'm literally standing by a patch of pumpkins which I found in the first 5 minutes of opening my Minecraft world. Of course pumpkins aren't rarer than diamonds because they're everywhere, right? And you can find them all the time, but this is something called the availability heuristic. So the availability heuristic is a flaw in the human mind where if you're asked something, i.e. are pumpkins rarer than diamonds, instead of answering based on what you think the actual answer will be, you'll take a mental shortcut to get a simple and quick answer, and this can be based on, instead of the actual likelihood of the events, how often do pumpkins spawn, how often do diamonds spawn, comparing those two things, instead you take a mental shortcut and you think about how available they are to you, and you consider that most Minecraft players probably find pumpkins long before they find diamonds. But this isn't what the question is asking. The question is asking how rare they are in a natural Minecraft world, and that's why I can really easily prove that diamonds are so much more common than pumpkins. And the way we're going to prove this is quite simple. We're going to take a giant area in Minecraft. It's actually only 9 chunks, but it will more than prove our point, and we're going to destroy every single block in this area that's made of stone, so you can actually see through the Minecraft world, and you can see it not for how available things are to you, but instead for how rare things are. The command we're using to do so looks something like this, and allows us just to destroy 12 blocks down at a time in a 9 chunk area, and we can destroy more and more and more and more, getting rid of all of the stone which usually gets in your way, so that instead you can see just how many diamonds there are, because on average there are almost 12 diamonds per chunk. However, finding those diamonds can be tricky because of how how many blocks there are on a chunk. However, once you remove all of the stone based blocks and you see the actual ores, you can start to see, one, just how common coal ore is and iron ore are compared to what you might expect, and two, you can start to see all that redstone, gold, and more importantly diamonds in a chunk. So right here you can see 4 diamonds, right here you can see another 4 diamonds, right here another 4 diamonds, and just in this one, this 9 chunk area, you can see another 5 diamonds, is that right there? And then you can see another 6 just about the edge right here. So within this simple 9 chunk area, we found just under 20 diamonds. In the chunks just nearby it, let's say it's a perfect 9 chunk comparison, you can find fewer than that in pumpkins alone. You can see how just over here there's 3, 6, 8 pumpkins. So 8 pumpkins over here versus 20 diamonds down there. And although right now you're immediately seeing why this is wrong, think about this on a much bigger scale. Think about how often pumpkins generate in your entire Minecraft world, because they don't generate below the surface, and think about how often diamonds generate, because although they're hard to find, they generate in 3D below the surface, and if you're willing to look for them, you can find significant numbers. That's right, even though we're lucky and we actually found 2 pumpkin spawns quite close together, we've got another one just over there. As you can see, the number of diamonds that have generated between these 2 sets of pumpkins, you can imagine your head is seriously over 100, and yeah, as soon as you start thinking about it, as soon as you analyze the question correctly, and as soon as you stop substituting the question with your own, because again, common psychological bias is to, instead of actually trying to answer the question as best you can, to instead substitute it with an easy one that you can answer, because humans gonna make the easiest path to a exit. It's just a natural part of being alive, and as a result, instead of evaluating the actual rarity of pumpkins and the actual rarity of diamonds, you thought about how available they were to you, but that wasn't the question in the slightest. A real life example of this one would be shark attacks. Sharks are something that people are absolutely terrified of, because when you're swimming in the ocean and there's a monster that tries to eat you, it's a terrifying thing. We've probably all seen a video actually of a shark eating someone and how terrifying it is, and you're like, oh yeah, oceans are terrifying, they're filled with sharks, even though probably on some level, and if you think about it, sharks aren't actually that common, and the number of shark attacks is actually fewer than the number of vending machine deaths per year, but actually people are terrified of this, and it leads to them making poor decisions based on faulty information. However, this is one that actually has a positive outcome, because even though people would estimate that more people die every year from sharks than drowning, even though the opposite is true on such a ridiculous level, as a result of people being so scared of sharks, the number of drowning deaths a year actually tends to go down after a shark attack, because of the people who are less willing to swim the ocean based on how likely they feel a shark attack is, which means that indirectly it does lead to lives being saved, but for the wrong reasons. A similar but perhaps reverse observation would be that of the fact that when there is a big plane crash, notably after 9/11, more people are likely to take other forms of transport, despite the fact that even after you include major terror and accident events, planes are still the safest form of transport around. So people can use this decision to accidentally do good things themselves, or, you know, sometimes the opposite happens and people will use the wrong information from the availability heuristic to make decisions which are more dangerous to themselves. It is significantly more dangerous to drive 3,000 miles than it is to fly the same distance, but it doesn't feel that way, and that's what leads to the faulty decision making. Because of how our brains are wired in response to questions though, it can be really tricky to actually answer a question even once you know this bias is in place. Because if I tell you, if I ask you what's less common in Minecraft, every flower combined in Minecraft or diamonds, you're gonna be like, well, flowers are so much more common. You're gonna make the same mistake on some surface level, even if you then correct it, even though it's not actually true. Flowers are significantly rarer than diamonds too. The odds of finding flowers in Minecraft are less than the odds of finding diamonds, except for when you consider that they're more available on the surface, which is where most players spend their time. Minecraft is a 3D game, but you might think of the terrain as 2D for the purpose of that question, or you might not even think of the Minecraft world at all. You might just think, I see so many more flowers, and you probably do see more flowers than you see diamonds, but that doesn't actually answer which is more rare and which is more common. So did you know, fun fact, flowers are significantly rarer than diamonds, even when you add in all the different groups, the yellow flowers, the dandelions, these things, the azure bluettes, every single flower type in Minecraft added together is still significantly rarer than finding diamonds. We could also probably analyze stuff like this and say that technically speaking, the most common ore underground is dirt and stuff like that. There's lots of things you don't think about because they're not immediately coming to mind, because yeah, Minecraft is a very deep and complex game that you probably don't spend a lot of time thinking about and diving into the insides of. And maybe it's sad that we do. Maybe that's a problem with us as a person, but still, it's a thing we do. For a more controversial one, let's talk about the lottery. So every lottery company in the world, particularly here in the UK, will put a lot of emphasis on people who have won the lottery. They'll talk about what they do with the winnings and all these sorts of things. They'll humanize the story, so you think about it in terms of, oh, someone I know has won the lottery. You'll way overestimate the odds that you otherwise would have, and you'll be way more likely to buy lottery tickets, even though you know it's a losing investment, because you'll consider that it's just bound to happen. And yeah, as a result, lottery companies know the best way to make money, same with gambling and any forms of, things that are mathematically bad, is they just have to focus on the human element, and they have to focus on the people who are doing things. So when you think about the odds of winning, you think about the fact that one of the 100 people you know have won, and therefore basically you're gonna win too. So let's move on to the next question about Minecraft's natural generation, because which type of village do you think is most likely to generate? Which type of village do you think Minecraft tries to generate the most often based on your experience of the game? Most people would probably say the Plains village. There's a chance you might say the Desert village, because I mean they are not too far apart in terms of availability, and then a few people, if you've been lucky with your seeds, might say the Spruce village is third. And although these are all fair answers, by the way, this is quite a rare village and that it spawns literally next to a witch hut, so there's a fun little fact right there for you. But yeah, basically most people would assume that the rarest type of village is probably not going to be the Plains. They'd assume that the Plains is the most common type of village, and it's heavily weighted for whatever reason. It could be that it was the first village to be added to Minecraft. It could be because of the number you see, in modern day Minecraft. But what if I told you that this isn't true? So if you assumed there was a rarest type of village, you probably assumed it was the frozen villages, the snowy plains villages, the ones that generate with the igloo houses, and everything about this village is pretty cool in my opinion. But they're not wildly common. People don't see these very often, and therefore you probably might have assumed it was the rarest type of village. And although there's a part of the availability heuristic to this where you might have made the mistake if you've only loaded a few Minecraft worlds and you saw a lot of these, you might have seen a lot of them and therefore assumed they're very common. But what you might be shocked to learn is that every single type of village in Minecraft is equally common. The Plains village is just as likely as the Taiga village, which is just as likely as the Savannah village, which is just as likely as every other type. All the village types in Minecraft are equally common, besides zombie villages. The reason that this fact is probably shocking to you, and the reason that it's probably not what you would have guessed, is because of the attribution bias. When you make a guess about a question, when you are given a set of information and try to make a decision based on that, whether in your real life or in Minecraft again, it's very often that you'll try to come up with some reason why it makes some sense. You might have come up with some reason why Plains villages need to be more common, or why these sorts of facts are true. You might have concluded in your head that maybe the reason reason these types of villages came up so, little often was because they were the coolest type of village. And in my opinion, the reason they're so cool is because they're rare, not the other way around. Most players won't have seen them before 1.14, and therefore it's very cool to find them. But the truth is, very cool to find them, ha ha ha, am I right? But the actual, answer as to which village type is the rarest is that they're all equally common. That's right, every single type of Minecraft village is just as likely to generate in the biome that it spawns in. However, the attribution bias is because we forget to think about the fact that plains biomes are one of Minecraft's most likely biomes, followed not too soon after by the deserts, and then by the savannas, and then tigers. They're not so ridiculously rare, but the frozen plains biomes are very, very rare biomes. So rare, in fact, that when I did my 50 seed search that I've mentioned a few times, I looked up a lot of seeds for that. We only found a couple of them that had these giant snowy plains anywhere near the spawn, within 100 or 200 blocks or so. And so because your thoughts about how common the biomes are isn't at the front of your head, even though they very much have a link between the villager and the biome, you might therefore look at your information from your Minecraft experience and conclude that yes, plains villages are so much more likely. And this also is because they're the oldest Minecraft village, so you've seen more of them even than you should have statistically seen. But you'll then not only think about that information, but you'll assume that it's because of some other factor, whatever that is, you know in your own mind. This is called the attribution bias. So often people make this mistake in their real life where they'll assume that something is true, and they'll be right about the piece of information, but they'll be wrong about why a certain thing is true. This is so common all over the world. People make many mistakes because of it. It's always fun to watch. I don't like the word cringe, but it is one of the cringe things to see where you're like, oh yeah, well X is true and Y is true, and therefore that's because, random Q factor that I just made up on the spot. People are very likely to overassume their own intelligence. That's actually another factor, the Dunning-Kruger effect, where, intelligent people are likely to underestimate their intelligence and unintelligent people are likely to overestimate it. But this also can combine with the attribution bias to lead to people making very faulty conclusions, which happens all the time for everything, not just in Minecraft. So yeah, we've proven how pumpkins are in fact rarer than diamonds. We've proven how, flowers are rarer than diamonds. A lot of things above the surface, even birch trees, are rarer than diamonds because of the same fact. But also, we can prove the opposite thing, and we can be like, oh yeah, did you know even though emeralds seem way more common than diamonds, they're actually rarer than diamonds because of the fact that they only spawn in the one biome, the extreme hills. If you go below the surface there, you'll find a lot more emeralds in single, chunk veins. However, if you're actually looking over the entire Minecraft world, then emeralds are significantly rarer than diamonds too. Diamonds are actually quite a common thing when you consider your whole Minecraft world because they spawn in every chunk regardless of where it is, or they spawn on average in every chunk regardless of where it is, and therefore diamonds can be found in pretty huge quantities. It's just they take a lot of effort to do so. Speaking of a lot of effort, I feel like a fun little one to end the video on would be just a little bit of a counterintuitive fact about Minecraft and diamonds. So if we take a diamond block in Minecraft, I'm sure we've all seen one of these before, try and work out the value of this block if you could transport it into the real world. Even if I give you a lot of the information, we tell you that a Minecraft block is 1 meter long, and if I give the information that 1 gram of diamond is worth $12,000, try and work out how much this block of diamond would be worth if you could somehow transport it into the real world. I'll give you a few seconds to take your guess with even all of that information I just gave you. Okay, time's up. The value of this diamond block is going to be roughly, give or take based on its market value on the day, $42,168,000,000. The way we calculated that is because diamond has a retail value of about $12,000 a gram, and because therefore a kilogram is worth about $12 million, we can tell that based on diamond's density, a meter cubed block of it would be about 3,514 kilograms. Multiply 3,514 kilograms by the $12 million per individual kilogram, and you can work out that this thing right here is worth $42 billion, or in other words, more than 99.99999% of humans, if we exclude the literal, 10 humans above that in the world. Sorry, I made a mistake. There's actually 19 people who are worth more than this diamond block in Minecraft. So yeah, just remember, next time someone tells you you're worthless, as long as you have one of these in your Minecraft worlds, you're actually pretty darn worthful, in my opinion. Worthful? That's not a word. Worthwhile? Yeah, you're worthwhile, you are. This is, of course, a hugely shocking fact, and I mean, if we literally take a stack of these instead of a single one, then we can have more value than is created by all of the billionaires on that list, and indeed by most humans alive right there. And then if you take a full inventory full of full stacks, then you can become not only a very, strong Minecraft character, because each of these individual blocks is worth 3,514, and we have a lot of stacks of them. The Minecraft Steve can hold literally millions of kilograms, which is ridiculous, but also you can be worth a lot of money based on the market value of those in the real world. But you know, that's kind of a silly Minecraft example. You might look at that and say, you know what, I thought this video was serious, and you're talking about the market value of Minecraft diamonds. So instead, how about you bring this back to a real world example? If I tell you that 1,000,000 seconds is equal to about 11.5 days, once you convert it to days, how many days do you think 1,000,000,000 seconds is? The answer is 31.7 years, or to actually put it in days, which, you know, it's quite simple that 1,000,000 times 1,000 is 1,000,000,000, so 11.5 times 1,000 is 11,500 days roughly, or 11,574 to be precise. But despite the fact that it's very obvious, it's still a fact that's very shocking. The fact that 1,000,000 seconds is 11.5 days, while 1,000,000,000 seconds is literally a decent fraction of a lifetime at 31 years, goes to show the difference between those two numbers, which, you know, we literally all the time aren't thinking about, despite the fact that it's literal maths. And this is one of the big flaws inside of a human brain, I'd say, the inability to approximate. We're very good, again, at coming up with answers in a short space of time, but we're very bad at coming up with correct answers, like on that short space of time. Humans are really wonderful at giving really, really rough estimates in things we know about, but when it comes to things we don't know about, we're very, very fast to make judgments and feel like we're correct. This is, again, this is a big psychological bias that leads to so many of the rough mistakes we make in this world, and the worst bit about it is you see on the internet people validating this sort of decision making all the time. Even the world's most qualified people in the field that they might tend to be in are very prone to making error-filled judgments or error-filled assumptions about things that they do not know about. This is a big kind of problem with humans, and although the answer is not just to be like, well, don't make assumptions about anything. Of course, that's not what it is. The real answer is that if you want to know the actual answer to a question, it's worth spending some time and actually figuring it out. If you want to have a knee-jerk reaction to a question, then boy, let me tell you about some social networks that do that literally all the time, and you're going to see it a lot because it's 2020, and I hear that means that there's some elections going on in some parts of the world, so enjoy seeing that on a non-stop basis all the time. But more seriously, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope it proved beyond a doubt that pumpkins are in fact rarer than diamonds, and hopefully it proves the more shocking thing that flowers are rarer than diamonds and birch trees are rarer than diamonds. And if it did, then let me know with a like, and let me know if you want to see this sort of video where we kind of use Minecraft to talk about facts that are kind of a little bit of a jump from it, because again, I've done a few of these before on the channel, and I think this one was a particularly fun example, and you can let me know if you liked the way we did this with the video editing as well in a comment down below, because those are always appreciated. Who doesn't love a nice fun comment, right? So yeah, let the editor know you like the editing. Let me know if you like this style of using Minecraft as a jumping off point to talk about psychology or to talk about anything else like that, because yeah, I want to do a few more like kind of commentary style Minecraft videos based in the game itself, because games are a wonderful jumping off point for knowledge, and maybe you agree, or maybe you disagree, and you think that sharks are more common than diamonds in Minecraft, because you know what? Who knows what your opinions are? Because all I know is that you should subscribe to IBX Toycat if you want to see more videos. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.